The season finale of The Mandalorian, The Rescue, recap by yours truly, X Dime. So, in this episode of Dime Theory, we recap and then look into the future a little bit to see what might happen, could happen, and should happen in the future of The Mandalorian and other shows that are going to follow. So, like and subscribe if you enjoy it. Let's get started. So, it starts off hot with Slave One chasing an Imperial cruiser. And, they get him. The Imperials think, it's pirates. But then, well, they are, you could say, pirates, but then they come in and the one guy's like, you gotta fight. The other one's like, I'm not trying to die. So they get boarded. Mando walks in and they talk, and then the one guy goes, do you understand? Do you know how important this doctor is, Dr. Pershing? And Mando goes, yeah, we've met. I know. And then the one pilot puts a gun to Dr. Pershing's head. And it's not looking good. And then, Cara Dune comes in. Cara Dune and this Imperial pilot going at it. And Cara Dune shoots him in the face. After the one Imperial officer shoots the other one in the back. And let me tell you, it was insane off the start. And then to make it even crazier, this Dr. Pershing turns out to, you could almost say, a good guy. It's really crazy. And then, our next clip. You have Mando and Boba rolling into a nice little, looks like a bar. Because, bar, well, cantina. There's cantinas everywhere. And you got two of the Night Owls. Where the guy is, we don't really know. But, they talk, and Bo-Katan goes, you're not a real Mandalorian. And he goes, and Boba goes, never said I was. And then you have Koska Reeves and Bo-Katan. Our other man, Axe, don't know where he's at. Alright. But Reeves, played by Sasha Banks, and Boba really start to go at it. And you get a crazy fight sequence. And let me tell you, this fight sequence is quite interesting. Because you see how much they know what each other are going to do and the counters. Especially at how the fight ends with the flamethrower. Like, they knew what each other would do because of how well they were trained. And it really shows a testament to how smart they are and how good of fighters they are because they can predict the other person's next moves. And then, Bo-Katan gets mad, talks about how, if we fought anything like this, we wouldn't have lost Mandalore. And then they said, yes, we'll join your journey because Bo-Katan wants the Darksaber and Moff Gideon has to surrender to her. That's all she cares about. And then here we are. And this is where it gets really interesting. They're all talking about, the ship. These Dark Troopers. And Dr. Pershing becomes an incredible help. He tells them everything they need to know to succeed. And he becomes one of my favorite characters in the episode because he understands the good and the bad, but at the same time, he's just trying to survive. He knows the Empire's bad, but he has to serve him because if not, he will be killed by Moff Gideon. So, it gives a very interesting view on his character, and we learn a lot about him. And then we learn about the Dark Trooper cargo hold. Let me tell you, there's tons of them. Person goes, you got a couple of minutes, you gotta be quick. And then they devise their plan. That Boba Fett's gonna chase him in Slave One, everyone else is gonna be in the Imperial ship. And they're gonna go fly emergency landing into the ship. And then they're all gonna go out except for Mando, cause a distraction. And then Mando's gonna sneak over to where they're keeping Grogu which Dr. Pershing also tells him. So Pershing really becomes the mastermind behind this attack plan because it makes our heroes know what they need to do to get the job. And then here, the plan starts in action. You have Slave One shooting them. They're making it convincing. But Moff Gideon is smart. He knows something's up. Instead of just letting it land, he sends out TIE fighters. He knows something fishy's happening. And then they make their emergency landing. They land in. They make their emergency landing. They get out. And this is a dope looking scene. Boba Fett's going. He's safe. Now you have Fennec, Cara, Reeves, and Bo-Katan. Those four are going to go be their distraction. And they are going to wreak havoc. You have the Dark Troopers. The slow startup. The menace. And you know things are getting bad. And you know Mando has to work quick with Dr. Pershing's little key thingy, key fob, I think it is, to lock the door to keep them from getting out. Because if they get out, he is in trouble. And then, we get a great, female moment. It's not forced, it's natural, and it looks great, and it really shows each one of theirs ability and how they all work together. And then you have Mando. He's coming up to the Dark Troopers, and he's a second late. One Dark Trooper gets out and just beats the absolute crap out of him. And we really get to see how terrifying these things are, how strong they are. And this scene really shows that the human error that they say was the final problem. Because Mando uses his flamethrower, torches the machine. And because it's a robot, it doesn't care. If it was a human, burnt. But because it's a robot, it's not really bothered all by it too much. And it can continue fighting with no problem. Right here. It's like, alright, so you're going to heat me up? I'm just going to throw you down the corridor. But then Mando almost gets the outside door open, sends them all into space. But he's clumsy. But, he does end up winning this battle. Barely. All because, one, he uses all of his little toys, which hurt him later. But because he got thrown over to his Beskar spear and rips the head off of him. The female warriors go and just take the bridge. Destroying everybody. But Bo-Katan realizes right away, Moff Gideon's not here. Where's Moff Gideon? And we find out. Moff Gideon's in Baby Yoda Grogu's little chambers. And man, let me tell you, Moff Gideon is such a smart guy. He goes, hey, tries to get Mando to want the Darksaber. Mando doesn't want the Darksaber. He doesn't care about it. He's like, give me the child, you keep the Darksaber, you live. And Moff Gideon's like, okay, that's fine. You take him, I'll leave. I got what I wanted. I don't need him anymore. And as Mando goes to grab it, Moff Gideon, being the genius he is, Mando has his back turned, goes at it, goes for the strike. But of course, he's wearing Beskar, doesn't do anything, and we get an incredible Darksaber Beskar spear fight. And right here you can really see the difference in the training. Moff Gideon is out here hack and slashing, while Mando is incredibly coordinated with how he's using this spear. Some of the moves he does here are absolutely incredible. And it's the reason why he wins. Because he's able to anticipate from all those years of training. They come up to the bridge where Bo-Katan sees Moff Gideon in handcuffs and Mando with the Darksaber. And she's upset. And Moff Gideon's like, hey, Bo-Katan, you going to kill him or what? And everybody's like, what do you mean? And Mando has a slight idea. Bo-Katan and Moff Gideon, obviously, they know what's happening here. And, Mando goes to give the Darksaber then. After, she can't accept it, goes to give the Darksaber to Bo-Katan, and Moff Gideon goes, she can't accept it. You won it in battle. It's yours. She can't just take it from someone because what's the Darksaber without the story, with how you earned it? And then a lot of people said, what's the difference between this and then what happened in Rebels? When Sabine gave the Darksaber to Bo-Katan. It is completely different because Sabine stole the Darksaber. She didn't win it in battle. So then she got it by stealing it and not getting it. I don't want to say fairly, but the traditional way. She is not the owner of it because she did not win it in battle. So she has free will to give it to whoever she wants. It's kind of like, she finds it on the ground and takes it. She didn't win it in battle. She's not the owner of it. So then when she, and this is shown, said in Rebels, that Sabine goes, I did not win this. I took it. And because I believe with that line, okay, I didn't cite it word for word, but because of that set of lines there, Bo-Katan was allowed to take it because the person who is currently wielding it did not win it fairly and traditional to how it's supposed to be. So she is allowed to accept it. But in this, it's different. Mando Din Djarin wins it fair and square. He does it the right way. How, the past talks about it, how the ancient scripts say. Because of that, she's not allowed to take it. And then, they just bullied Moff Gideon for a bit. But then the problem is, the Dark Troopers, they can fly, bro. They come into the ship, and Moff Gideon goes, y'all are dead. Man, that you barely survived one. How about a platoon? And a platoon's a lot. They're making their way to the bridge. And it does not look good for our heroes because they're outgunned, outmanned, and just not ready. They are not ready. But then, miracles happen. As the Dark Troopers are busting down the door, almost getting in, you could feel it. Something's going to happen. And then one lone X-Wing comes in. And there's an X-Wing. There's only two people. It's Cal or Luke. It's one of them. That's it. And the moment they pull in, we'll see Grogu. He senses it. He knows who is here. And then we get the Darth Vader / Darth Maul hallway scene. But instead, it's a Jedi. And it is beautiful. Now, right away, all the Dark Troopers just give up. And Moff Gideon knows he's in trouble. He goes to commit suicide. Cara, dude, does not let that happen. And you see the black robe. So immediately, that made me think, okay, I think this is Luke. I think this is Luke. And then you see just absolute skill. And I'm still thinking it's Luke, but it could be Cal. But then we see the green saber, and I'm like, you know what? That gotta be Luke. And then the right hand has a black glove. The left hand has nothing on it, and it's a hand. And then the sheer power of that hit, I'm like, it has to be Luke. The black shoes. Just the black everything. Right like it's right after Return of the Jedi. And I mean like right after. And just absolute carnage. And then right here was the moment I absolutely knew. No doubt in my mind that it was Luke. The belt buckle. So iconic. So obvious. And he just tears through them. There is nothing standing in his way. It is Luke almost at peak. He might be at peak. He is so strong right now with the Force and his lightsaber combat that there is no match. Like, just look at this. His ability to do this to that Dark Trooper is unbelievable. He sets Grogu on the table. Luke comes in, and you see the lightsaber. A really good look at it. And, oh man, is it exciting. And then you get the big reveal. and it is Luke Skywalker in the flesh. But this is where it gets quite interesting. Because Luke never actually tells them who he is. And then also, Luke talks to Grogu and then goes, he doesn't want to go with you. And then Luke's like, no. He wants your permission. He wants to make sure you are okay with this. Because you guys are so closely bonded now. And then it's such a wholesome moment. And this moment is unbelievable. So not even Grogu saw his face. And then takes his helmet off for Grogu. And Grogu looks at him. And goes, huh. This has been the man that saved my life. And then the hand to the face is, oh my goodness. It's just incredible. It's unbelievable. And you can see that they're both so sad. But at the same time, it's so important. And it has to happen that Grogu has to go with Luke. That, if he doesn't, he'll never become as strong as he should be. And he'll never become what he needs to be. And then you have a nice little part where Grogu's just holding his leg. But then this is one of the most interesting things I found about this episode. When R2-D2 shows up. And R2 and Grogu interact almost like they know each other. Because he wouldn't walk over Luke, but R2 comes up and he goes right over to him. And then R2 goes beep boop, bop boop, beep boop, boop. And Grogu makes his little Grogu sounds. And this makes me think, what if, when Anakin returned, after when Anakin took R2 to Mustafar, that if right before that, he actually went and saved Grogu. Because when Anakin's roaming the temple, R2's almost nowhere to be found. So what if R2 went and saved Grogu? What if that's what happened? And that's why we don't see R2 there. That's just my opinion. I think, by their interaction, it could be very possible. And then you have this ending shot. Luke holding Grogu over the shoulder. And it is just unbelievable. Just how this episode ends, the emotion, and how strong it is. How good of an episode it was. I really appreciate it. If you liked it, subscribe. It helps. Like, do whatever. Comment. The more appreciation you show me, the more content I'll put out like this. I'm already planning on doing something like this for WandaVision as well. And I'll probably be doing this for almost every Disney Plus, Star Wars, and Marvel-oriented shows. I appreciate you watching this, taking your time out of your day. I'll catch you in the next episode of Dime